This is your daily briefing, and you're most welcome to it. I'm going to kick off with the Newcastle United thing because it's the biggest story going, and I think the reaction to the story is possibly more revealing than the story itself, if that makes sense to you. So just say no, and they are being treated as if they're drug dealers. Newcastle's Saudi-led takeover has met with fierce opposition from top-flight rivals in the 24 hours since its completion. Sportsmail understands there may have even been attempts to stop the consortium bringing in a lucrative sponsor, but those involved have been told it is a futile pursuit. And this reminds me of a few months back when GB News, which I think is pretty mainstream and not the unhinged right-wing mega beast it was purported to be. There were people getting in touch with sponsors and advertisers, and in some instances getting some success, getting them to back away. But this is so underhand and cheap. And it just shows you the football family. It's a closed shop. It doesn't want any involvement with anybody. It's all about money. It's all about greed, and it's all avarice or bust. Mail Online have also learned that the 305 million deal led by Saudi's 700 billion public investment fund, boy would I like one of those, was strongly resisted throughout by Liverpool, Manchester United, Arsenal and Tottenham, who all lobbied the Premier League to deny the Saudis entry to the top flight. Welcome, howdy, come in. There were reports last night that the other 19 clubs have demanded a meeting to ask the Premier League why the Newcastle takeover was allowed to be signed off. Amanda Staveley is fronting the operation on Tyneside and spoke to staff inside the stadium for the first time, winning a round of applause after outlining her vision for the club. Most importantly, you can expect ambition. In an open letter to supporters, it was said, like you, we want to create a consistently successful team and we are here to build a long-term success. Owning the club is not a responsibility we have taken on lightly, and we will never lose sight of what it means to be part of Newcastle United. We will make sure to focus on things that will deliver long-term success. One early move that's anticipated is the acquisition of former Liverpool chief scout and academy boss Frank McPartland as a football advisor. McPartland has close links with Steven Gerrard and Brendan Rodgers, two names that have cropped up in a conversation concerning a replacement for Steve Bruce, who is set to be removed as manager very, very shortly. I think that the links to Brendan Rodgers are entirely understandable, but it's like when he was allegedly linked with coming to Tottenham before we, of course, picked the man of the hour, Nuno. I just don't see it in him. I think he's got bundles of integrity, and I think that I think Leicester City fans absolutely approve of him, and they approve of the owners, and that sense of community and that sense of transparency and common aim of trying to win stuff sits very well and comfortably inside the club. And I actually think that if the owners of the Foxes were reading this sort of stuff came across their desk, I think they'd pick up the phone and say to him, look, is everything okay? We just want to make sure, we just want to be insulated and indemnified against any approaches. Is there anything else you need? Do you need a different colour Ferrari for weekends? Do you want to put a swimming pool into your attic? What is it? Talk to us. And I think there is an atmosphere around that club of wanting to be on the right message and on the right path. And I would be absolutely stunned if Brendan cleared off to Tyneside. Apparently Rangers manager Steven Gerrard is a popular suggestion with the fans, and he's said to be monitoring events with a keen eye. I personally wouldn't touch Gerrard, nothing personal, but anybody who's been a colossal success in Scottish football, and please, I don't need the Dave Mackay or Steve Archibald references, we're grown-ups, all right? I just don't see it. I just don't see it. And just to prove that fans can be happy and productive, Newcastle's home game against Tottenham sells out in short order following the Saudi-led takeover, with empty seats of the Mike Ashley era eradicated as thousands of fans are left queuing online to get in for the Sid James Park clash. And this is a curious thing. a chap sent me a Twitter, and I don't know how brilliantly this is going to work. So I'm so glad we can pop the visuals up for you. But a chap here sent me a tweet, and it was making the same noises that many of you are in recent times, and about the fact that Levy and ENIC are going nowhere. You know, this is our dream come true. These are our investors, and you know, they've sunk all the money into the infrastructure. But they didn't bolster the weak foundations of the actual football squad itself. And Spurs are in dire straits. And the guy finishes with, the Spurs I knew has gone now. And as quick as you like, this guy Gazad1 pops in. What's the Spurs you knew? The one I grew up with finished perennially in the bottom half, often more than flirting with relegation and never threatening European spots. When it was an era, though, it was an era, though, when trophies weren't the closed shop they are today. So we won an FA and a League Cup, yay. The problem with people like you, mate, is first of all, I suggest you have a lie down and don't embarrass yourself anymore by typing. And I don't know what you're referring to by the an FA Cup and an League Cup, yay. But the business of the closed shop, this sends us down a rather embarrassing, for you, rabbit hole, whereby somehow Spurs aren't able to compete, that Spurs are kind of bullied by the other boys, and if Spurs were a schoolboy, they'd come home, you know, most days, more often than not, and say, what do you want for your tea? I'm starving, I'll have anything. Did they take your dinner money again? Spurs has been sloshing around with cash for the last 20 years. It's increased dramatically in the last 10 of those years, but we've underspent on the squad. We've overspent on fixtures and fittings, and all of the money has been thrown into infrastructure. And if Tottenham had wanted to spend money on players, the cash was sitting there. I forget the exact number, but if I was to say to you 240 million or thereabouts was thrown into the mix when Spurs went and secured all the loans for the stadium build that many of you sea lions were applauding, and now you're wondering why you're being thrown mackerel heads. We had absolute lumps of money, and I've never been an advocate for going around on an absolute spend up like a crazed lottery winner, but the idea that we were always fed this line that Tottenham can't compete, poor ickle Tottenham, and it was worse than a myth. It was just a horrible lie. And you've been towed down by ENIC over the years, and people like this guy, you know, they're just incapable of seeing a more nuanced point being made. And the fact that we used to be a football club, and this horrible word compete, but we used to compete in competitions. I'm not 1,000 years old, but I remember we used to be a cup side. You could always rely on Tottenham to try and give it a go in the cups. And we've gone down the same route as everybody else, where everybody fields their kids, and then if they get a whiff of success, they'll throw in a couple of the straight A-teamers towards the end of the thing to clinch it. But the idea that we didn't win honours, and honours were scarce because of some closed shop, is just absolute propaganda. And I honestly wish, you know, I'm not a book burner, but I just wish people like this Gazad thing just step out of the way, mate, because you don't know what you're talking about. And my recurring issue is, and I used to have it on the blog with people, I used to say, look, you're entitled to your opinion, but when you're spouting stuff that is so off beam, it's so dangerous. I would hate, absolutely loathe, be terrified that the idea that somebody would read the blog and then look at the comment section, which I say forever is always the good bit, look at the comment section and then see some guy spouting, oh, it's a closed shop, you know, couldn't really compete, and ignoring all the money that we threw into the infrastructure pit. I mean, if I genuinely think that if you got people to tell the truth, I'm not suggesting a mass issue of lie detector machines, but if you said to people, would you rather be selling out at White Hart Lane and winning stuff and have all the money sunk into the team? And that doesn't mean you don't have decent facilities. Everybody has decent facilities. I bet Burnley have got decent facilities. But if you sunk the money into the football and you won stuff, a bit like Leicester City, there you go. There's a business model that works, opposed to you coming up with fantasy objections. But would you prefer that, or would you prefer to be on this never-ending jam tomorrow misery trail? And speaking of which, just a suggestion, Just a suggestion. I am but a humble man. I'm not suggesting this is the way forward. But recently, Tottenham, they put a separate account they set up for the stadium. So you've got one for Tottenham Hotspur, and it's at Spurs official, so that's to do with the football, and a separate one for the stadium. Can I suggest they set up 2 more accounts? One for the women's football, which I find absolutely unwatchable. I'm not a misogynist pig dog or any other names you want to call me. I just can't watch it. It may as well be underwater badminton. I'm not interested. So that should have its separate account because it's got nothing to do with Tottenham and Tottenham Hotspur, the primary core business of the thing, that the football club. I'm not sure why I'm needing to explain this to you. You're not that stupid, are you? And another one for the American football. Honestly, I genuinely couldn't give a damn. That's everything. Thanks very much. The international football isn't producing much meat on the bone, as I said to you yesterday. But if anything seismic occurs, I will, of course, bring it to you. So remember, good luck, and despite them, keep it Tottenham.